Hi everyone, so today I'll be doing a rhetorical analysis on my two infographics that I made. These infographics will be based on my instructions for a cheer competition hairstyle, which involves two braids into a ponytail. So my first audience is parents of cheerleaders, and my other audience is the coaches of the cheerleaders. So the parents, their values would be time, efficiency, making the hair look good, and simplicity. Coaches' values include making sure all athletes look uniform and solving last-minute issues while guiding their team to success. So my infographics each differ from each other. So for the parents, this infographic is geared towards top tips for hair braiding. So they're in charge for their individual children, while coaches are in charge of the team as a whole. It's important for parents to do their part before competition day in order to prevent any issues, and coaches should be prepared to solve any last-minute hiccups. So that's why I created my first infographic geared towards parents for top tips for hair braiding. A lot of them are probably beginners and unfamiliar with this topic, so having these tips will help them through the hair braiding process and just make the hair look a little bit better. And then my coach's infographic is just some helpful tools they should keep on them in case there are any hair mishaps. So it's tools to keep with you in your coaching bag. And these are for those last minute hiccups really. So you have your hairspray, hair ties, and things like that. Some design features that make my infographics different are differences in the amount of detail, the amount of visuals, and the conciseness. So you'll notice in my coach's infographic, there's a little bit less detail, there's more visuals, it's more concise. This is just because the coaches probably already know how to braid hair. Most of them are previous cheerleaders, so there's a chance they've done these types of hairstyles before. And it's really not their job to do the cheerleader's hair. Occasionally they will, but it's really their job, if there's any mishaps with the hair, say a hair tie breaks, somebody forgets their cheer bow, the braids are falling out of place. Those last minute kind of hiccups they can probably deal with, and it's just nice to have these things on board, whereas the parents have a little bit more detail in their infographic because, like I said before, they're beginners in hair braiding, so they need a little bit more detail and more tips to kind of guide them through that process. And they need less visuals. We went through the visuals in the infographic, and they just need more details in the text rather than they need visuals, especially for the type of tips I gave them. The visuals wouldn't have really added anything to the infographic. I think it would just clutter it more and make it a little bit distracting and overwhelming. And so the information I included for the parents infographic was tips, which there wasn't a lot of room for in the actual instructions assignment for tips. And in the instructions assignment, I laid out, again, that a lot of parents aren't familiar with hair braiding. It can be really tough to grasp, especially the different movements with your hands. A lot of times people accidentally add like an extra strand of hair, or it just turns out really messy. So these tips are just like a supplement to the instructions, so that parents can just have an easier time trying to braid their athlete's hair. Some things I omitted. I didn't put any of the actual procedures really into the infographic just because that would be repetitive. The parents already have the procedures with them, so the infographic just gives them a nice little thing to look at with tips that might help them along the way. For the coaches, again, I omitted the procedures because, again, it's repetitive, and again, the coaches probably already know how to do this hairstyle, and it's not really their job to do the hairstyle. Usually it's the athlete and their parents' responsibility to come to the competition prepared and ready to go. So in the coaches infographic, those are tools for the bag, that they should keep in their bag. And coaches can use these, as I mentioned, for last-minute touch-ups and emergencies. Again, there wasn't really a place for this in the infographic, so that's why I kind of included it. A lot of them are things that I included in my optional materials for my infographic, but not really. I more geared my instructions towards the parents and not really the coaches. So I just thought as a secondary audience, coaches would be good because they will review the document and share it with parents, but overall they don't really need the information in the document. So these are just things that would be handy for them in the chance that maybe a parent gets sick and can't do their child's hair, or somebody, again, forgets something, their hair tie breaks, the hair comes undone, things like that. So yeah, this was an overview of my infographics, and I hope you enjoyed.